What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Jury House podcast. I'm Noah Massey,
And I'm Jimmy L.
and we are here to talk about week 9 of Big Brother 3. The scheduling for Big Brother 3 this week was just 1 2-hour episode of Big Brother, and boy, it was an action-packed episode here. Jimmy, what are your initial thoughts?
Why you got to put me on the spot like this, man? Come on. So part of me kind of enjoyed this 1 week, 2 hour long episode.
Mhm.
Some part of me enjoyed it, but the drama, I was not ready for that. Certain things happened throughout the episode, and I'm just like, you're just freaking stupid. Just man, yeah. But overall, I enjoyed it. It definitely kept my attention. So that's always a plus for me.
Absolutely, and yeah, we're getting down to the wire here, and the strategy is ramping up. The betrayals are ramping up
Is
here,
that what you
and
call it? Is it really betrayal? Is it?
I mean, we can definitely discuss it when we get
Okay.
there. I do have some thoughts about that. So let's get into it.
Do it.
So we begin with Roddy leaving the house and kind of the aftermath of that eviction. And we have Jason in the DR saying, Roddy is such a leader and he is such a charismatic personality that in this game, it is a good move for Roddy to leave. On a personal level, I feel sad to see him leave because I consider him an older brother. Then we have Danielle in the DR, and she is very happy that Roddy is gone. She says, Roddy knew I was coming after him, so I feel relieved that he's finally gone. It is nothing personal, just business. And then we get an interesting tidbit about last week where before the eviction episode, Roddy and Lisa. First we find out that Lisa wanted to give Roddy a sympathy vote. She went to Jason and was like, "Hey, I want to do this," and Marcellas and Danielle said no. And then we find out that before the eviction episode, Roddy really tried to guilt Lisa into telling him if he was going to be the one to go. And
Like, who does that?
right?
Come on, because obviously you already know that it's a high probability of you going home.
Yeah.
Why would you even bombard her with that kind of question? It's just silly. That was just silly.
Yeah, it's that thing that Roddy does where it's like he has to have power over people, and he, like, just like we saw with Amy, it's like, okay, this is how things are gonna go, but I'm gonna make you feel really bad that this is the way things went. Like, I'm gonna make you feel bad for doing this.
For doing it. Like, I'm gonna and so the next thing that that Lisa and Marcellus was talking about in that conversation about this,
Mhm.
and giving him the sympathy vote, but I'm like Marcellus said it best. Like, he could literally be a cult leader, and I think that's kind of far fetched and like really, really, like, really, really dark.
Right.
But like, his charismatic personality and how he speaks to you and how he can gain control of the room and of you, like, he really could do some, he could do some danger. he could do some he could do some danger. I don't know what he's doing now, but he could really do some danger. Like, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, we've said it all season that he's very charismatic, and it's just, there was something, he had some kind of a pull on people that, yeah, it's very cult-like, as much as I don't want to accuse anybody of being a cult
I
leader,
know. Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I mean, he's kind of the devil. Danielle was right.
Not you too. You bought into it too. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying, if the shoe fits,
Yeah. Good point.
if
Good
it
point.
if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck,
It's a duck. A charismatic duck.
right? So Jason and Danielle both talk in the DR, in separate DRs, about how Roddy acted really unfairly toward Amy in his final
Mhm.
speech. Danielle believes he should have gone home with some grace. Of course, we talked last week that we both kind of felt similar.
Yeah.
And then we get Danielle in the DR saying 7 down, 3
Three
to
to
go.
go. She's so far she's knocking them down.
She is indeed. And so we then flash back to the HOH competition. And last week, it looked like Danielle was gonna be the one. She was she didn't have that many people to go up against, and then they quickly kind of fell, and it was just her and Jason. And we learn from Jason that they were actually both trying to throw this competition.
Yeah. Like, it was funny. Did you see
And
the look on their faces
yeah,
after
it was
the
like,
first two?
yeah, they both looked at each other and were just like, what?
What in the hell is happening? Like, yeah.
This
Yeah.
this wasn't supposed to happen this quick. Yeah. So, but yet Danielle still couldn't pull it out. So, um, I mean, it was a tough spot because it's like, who do you throw it to? So,
Yeah. But
yeah,
even I guess I don't fully understand their logic, because you really want Lisa or Amy to win head of
no,
household? Like, why would you really
absolutely not.
want them to win?
Yeah,
That makes zero sense to me. That made no sense to me at all. Like, I would assume you would want, because Lisa, you probably have a little bit more control over what she's going to do, and I guess you would put up Amy and Marcellas. But Amy, if she won, like, one of you or Jason are going on the block. Like, I don't understand why would you. I don't know. Anyway, I was trying to walk through that process of, like, I'm gonna purposely throw this competition, looking at who's left in the house. Like, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah. I guess you're right, because even for Jason, it doesn't make sense to try to throw it with Danielle. I can see a little bit of like, okay, when it's down to her and Jason, it doesn't matter. But if she was trying to throw it from the beginning, it's like, why,
Like, why?
why, like,
Yeah.
why? Yeah, especially with the fact that it's getting down to the wire here. So,
Mm-hmm.
but luckily for them, they luck into the win. We've got Jason as HOH here. We get another kind of segment of DRs similar to the first time that Jason won HOH, where everyone is feeling really safe with him in this position. But Jason says in the diary room that despite making deals with both Marcellas and Lisa, that they are not necessarily safe. And then we get a conversation where Danielle tells Amy to not necessarily assume that she's in danger. So there's there's a lot of deals being made here, kind of a lot uh, of of promises, which also, when there's not that many people in the house, I don't know how smart that is. I mean, he's kind of in a tough spot, that he's so beloved by everyone that now this is the spot where it might start coming back to bite him.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get Danielle in the DR saying after this conversation with Amy that the reason I'm good at this game is that I never think I'm safe. I don't get comfortable, and that is good to be on high alert. And we know the catchphrase of the show is expect the unexpected, and that comes into play here this week as Jason wakes up the next morning to see a message of expect the unexpected on the TV. And this immediately sets everyone off frantically, being like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? And then we get the reveal of the new twist in the game, the golden power of Veto, which is a very new power that like blew my mind. The idea that if you win the power of Veto and you're one of the nominees on the block, you can take yourself off. I just thought that was the most revolutionary thing that I had
Honestly,
ever heard.
so I know so again, me first time watching it, I am 100% on board with that statement. But obviously, I've come from the later season, so this is all that I knew. But even I was still shocked to see it because I'm like, this is the end of the season. I had no idea that they were going to change this up. And so I was like, so now we get a chance to see this golden power Veto and what it actually does changing. So I'm just okay, I'm here for this. Like this is gonna make for some damn good TV. Like if it's played properly, like this can
Right.
make for some really good TV. So it shocked me. It
Yeah.
shocked. I just knew that this was never going to happen in this season. I just knew it wasn't. So yeah. Anyway, they got me. You got me, Julie.
Yes. I'm being a bit of a smartest here, but I did also, like it. I can see how this would be something that to these house guests was really revolutionary. It's the effect that I wish other twists in Big Brother had, where it's like, oh, this is something really good that could potentially really shake up the game in a really good way. So I was happy to see it. I was thinking about it though, and even though, of course, I think the golden power of Veto is a really good twist, I didn't necessarily know whether it was a good idea to introduce it like late in the game. I guess looking at it from the perspective of like how it functions in the show nowadays, like sure, having it every week, that's fine. I just don't know like when you are when you have played a game a certain way all season, and now something at the 11th hour is kind of being introduced here. I don't know if that's necessarily the right move, but what are your thoughts?
So I was going to say, I definitely 100% disagree
Okay, all
because
right,
up until this point, you kind of have Jason and Danielle running the house. And so
hmm,
it gives you the impression that it's a shoe in. So, and,
right,
and even some of the later seasons, in fact, it happened with the cookout. It was a, you knocked everybody off that was outside of the cookout, which was a part of the plan. So
right,
everybody that was in the audience, we knew what you were doing, and
yep,
so it kind of, not that the thrill was gone because you still had the week to week, drama, but
right,
for the most part, everything was going to plan. And
yep,
so as producers, when you see something like this and you, like you just said, to kind of shake it up a little bit, I think this is the perfect time. Like you expect, like literally expect the unexpected because you have no idea what's about to happen. It's been playing this way this entire time. So here you go. Let's see what you do with it now. And honestly, no, I really believe this is what they should have done the entire time, like in the
oh,
beginning. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
But I think that they probably were testing this to
hmm,
kind of see what would happen, and didn't even dawn on them to be able to give them the option of pulling themselves off the block. I feel like that never came up until after this was implemented, and then it was like, oh, okay, let's see how else we can incorporate this. And so that's just my personal thoughts.
yeah. No, I think you make a good point here. I think that with especially like last week we just lost Roddy,
Mhm.
who was kind of the linchpin of the entire house. Now we have Jason and Danielle in the power position, and so you're right. It is probably the perfect time to do that. Um, yeah, so I can't necessarily disagree with that. I know that there's always a lot of discourse about twists being introduced late into the game. And, I think obviously, like, the Golden Veto is probably the best twist that they've ever had,
I can
besides the
imagine.
head of household. So, um, I'm happy to see it here, especially because the silver power of Veto was really
Yeah.
nothing burger throughout the entire
It's
season.
like, I mean, no offense. Like, no, I love you and all, but like, dude, if we're on the block, my goal is not to save you from getting off the
Right.
block. Like what the hell? You know, like, come on.
Yeah. I think they thought there would be more like social politicking to
Mm,
have people take you off the block or to have someone replace you. And it's just something that I don't necessarily know how the golden power of veto was the second thing they came up with. I feel like that should have been the first
right.
idea. But yeah, I definitely am glad that we're getting it now because it led to some fun results here.
Same, same.
Then we follow up this exciting reveal with a food competition.
Of course.
So this is basically, so it's called the Dinner Party from Hell, and it's basically just a retread from that one they had a couple of weeks ago that Marcellus won for his team, where they had to go up against somebody and eat a certain amount of food. But this one is just like, here's the dish in front of you. If you finish it, you win the round. And this is really nothing exciting, but I do think that one of the best parts of this whole thing is that Jason isn't able to compete in this competition. So all he can
Mhm.
do is just sit and watch as these people like keep refusing to eat the different things and they're just not able to do it. And so there's all these days that they end up on the PB&J diet and Jason is pissed.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I was loving watching that.
Mhm.
I was loving it. Man.
Me too, because this is like the first time we see him like really get
Mhm.
upset. This guy does not get upset even when someone's working against him. He's just like
Calm
disappointed
and
about it. But
mhm.
this one he looked genuinely annoyed.
Yeah,
So,
and he even said like he was trying to encourage them and so forth. But I can understand that as well. You mean to tell me that out of everything on this damn table, none of you guys could complete a dick? Like, come on, like that's just ridiculous. But for him to get up and test
yeah,
every
every single one.
single item, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, so he's really mad. Like he is mad. And he was just like, come on, like you guys could have did this. Like, it's not that bad. Like you could have done this. And so, I would agree because I would only imagine that the texture of the food is what was probably, tricking your mind versus
Right.
the taste of it. And so I'm like, and even Danielle, I was really shocked at her. I,
Right.
yeah.
Here you were complaining about or have been complaining about PB&J and how much
Mhm.
you hate it and just acting like it's the worst
The
thing in the
worst.
world.
Hmm.
And you can't do the thing that's gonna make it so that you can eat real food the entire week. It was pretty despicable, and
It
I
was.
was fully
Yeah.
on Jason's side there.
Here.
So
I was too. I was too. I was pissed with him because I was like, it was stupid.
so we quickly go to nomination day, and the mood and the house is different. The house guests don't really know what to expect. Lisa tells Marcellus that she feels like they're getting to the point where when your number's up, then that's it. There's nothing you can do. And then we get a conversation between Marcellus and Danielle where he's like, wonder what Jason's going to do. And Danielle says that she does not know. And we get some insight into what Jason is thinking a little bit. He does say, this might be the week to get out a big player like Lisa, who, has kind of been in the background for a while. She's not really in anybody's crosshairs. And, then we get Danielle and Marcellus saying that they want Amy out, but, that does not really seem like that is where Danielle's head is at, as she has got her sights set on Marcellus this week. But she says she's just gonna keep playing ball with Marcellus. She's like, if he stays, I need to be on his good side, so I'm not gonna rock the boat.
She
And
didn't.
yeah,
And her bold lies, like I got your back, like man, like yeah. But I was like, okay. I was just like, okay.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we saw that a lot from her this week, where it's like, it's me and you, and that's a tough thing to be doing, because at a certain point you're gonna have to fess up to it, and especially in a season like this
With
where
the
people really care about your promises. It's tough.
and they're going to the jury house, and
Yeah.
so you really
Well,
do have to what.
well, they're not even going to the jury house. They're going home, so they're
The
gonna
people.
see everything.
Well, I'm sorry. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I meant more so they're going to have to vote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to have. I'm sorry, I should have said it differently. But they're going to have to vote on who wins in the end. And so I'm like, if you have manipulated the last 5 or 6 people,
Right.
like that does not go over too well. Versus if only 1 or 2 of those people were manipulated. So yeah, I don't think this is a time for her to be this bold with this I got your back guy, it's just you and I and we're in this together type thing. I don't think this is the time for it.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Especially when they find out just what the relationship between Danielle and Jason was. It's going to be like, oh, okay, so
Right.
like you
The whole
were
time.
completely lying to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even your number 3. So
At all. So there's another conversation that comes up in a little bit. I have a question for you about it. So I'll let you go.
okay, all right. So we have Jason just really struggling with the decision. He says he felt the weight of the decision when he was HOH last time, when Jerry left, and we know that was a very hard decision for him that time, and now he's still struggling with it. Ultimately he puts up Amy and Marcellus, which that seems like a good move here. Last duo, so
So from yes and no,
no, okay,
because well, I mean he's in this thing with Danielle, but
yeah,
like looking outside, looking at strict game of play,
yeah,
Danielle and Marcella should have been on the block.
mm,
Like, and you should have been getting Danielle ass up out of there. You know what I mean?
okay, yeah,
Like, and like because this is it. Because if you're talking about taking her to the final 2, like, come on, between her and Marcella, it's time to go ahead and get them 2 out of here. Like, you need to be working on that. And I don't think that's in Jason's mind at all to cross Danielle, which I really
yeah,
dislike that for him. I really dislike that for him. It's like his blinders are on.
yeah. No, I agree with you. Whenever I see someone in a pairing, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be hard for them to break away from,
Mm-hmm.
because you've just been working with this person for so long that it's kind of I really don't feel like most people are thinking about the end game and when's the best time to take the shot here.
Mm,
So I think you're right, but I also think realistically, knowing what we know of Jason, that I was like, okay, he was never gonna do that. So I think this is kind of the second best option there. Even though even then, it's like I don't know why Marcellus is seen as such a big threat. Like
I don't
if I'm in there, I'm probably going after someone like Lisa. Like I get the pairing, I get the
know.
I get the I get that aspect of it. I just you know I don't necessarily know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably would still want him out
Hmm.
of the house. I think I would because I don't feel threatened by Lisa.
Right.
Amy, I don't feel threatened by.
Hmm.
And so, other than Marcellus and Danielle and Jason, those are the only three people left in the house that I could feel that would win a competition,
Hmm.
that has a decent social game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that have played the game, so to speak, the way that it was
Right.
designed. And so I
Right.
just, I do think that he should be on the block. I
Right.
would agree with that, but um, out of what's left in the house, I think he is still a threat. That's probably the best way I could put that.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point, especially again, he's in a duo, so you do have to think about the next the
Hmm.
next week that if either Marcellus or Amy wins, then you don't get rid of either of them. So
True.
I definitely see that point.
But you did say something a minute ago about the Jason and what we know of him.
Mhm.
So speaking of that, brings me or thinking about his speech that he gave during this nomination ceremony, and I was telling Winston about it. But I think for him, it is like the best thing that he could have ever said. At the end of the day, I nominated you two. Really don't have a rhyme or a reason. It's just that you guys are it. And realistically, with the golden power of veto, nobody's really safe. And I was like, oh, like this is like the best speech that he could have ever given at this particular time in his HOH, week. It was for me, it was just perfect. And so it just makes me like him even more. And I just had to say
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. I think it was a fine kind of speech there. I do kind of think, someone like Marcellus or Amy doesn't really care. Like they're gonna be offended
it. No matter what.
but that's why I never pay attention to these speeches anyway, because it's just like you've made your decision.
Hmm.
What kind of matters is what you do after that and how the rest of the week goes. So
Good point.
and I think we see that in the fact that after this nomination ceremony, Marcellus is pissed, and
Yes.
he tells Danielle that he will come for Jason next week if he wins, and of course, Danielle doesn't like that, and I put I put, "Thankfully, Marcellus is such a martyr that he tells her not to save him if she wins the POV because he
Yeah.
thinks he can beat Amy."
I was like so stupid. I was just like stupid. And of course Danielle's like, oh well, I'm off the hook because you said, and I'm like, she
Yep,
does have a good point.
yep,
You told me not to use it if I win it, or I'm not really gunning for it or whatever. You told me don't worry about it. So I'm like, she's safe, she's covered. But he's just, he is so dramatic and even if he has an inkling at this point that she is in good, very good with Jason. Everybody in the house knows it at this point, and you
yep,
you have this slight insight. There's no way in hell I would have repeated that to Danielle. I don't care how close we thought we were. There's no way I would have been up. I would have been upset, like, hey, he nominated me. Like, damn, I have an opportunity to go home. But that's it.
yep, that's yeah, that's it. You literally yeah, don't show your cards at all, like, because what do you think you're gonna get from her? like, do you think you're testing her?
Hmm.
Because she's gonna fail that test and you're gonna be out the door.
It's like,
So,
and then I'm like, you're sitting here talking, and which I mean, as a viewer, the funny part was his thinking. I've done so much for him. I've saved him, and I've done so much for him. And I'm just like, boy, have you? Like, have you really? And not to mention, you're talking to the one person that truly has done a lot and saved him
yes.
and kind of maneuvered conversations about him behind the scenes. You really have not. And so I'm just like, you're talking to the wrong person. So that part was funny to look at as a viewer. That was just priceless. That was priceless. And Danielle played her part, so she did her thing.
She did indeed, and yeah, we'll see more of this kind of behavior from Marcellus throughout the week, where it's
Yeah,
just like the whole time he's completely confident that he is safe and that of course people want Amy out. Like she's the worst. She's awful.
she is annoying as hell.
She's she is still very annoying.
Very. That whole dinner scene, and I made some notes. We kind of skipped over. I skipped over it rather, but she was man. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, oh boy, the dynamic duo. So we get a conversation between Marcellus and Amy. They think that Jason has a deal with Lisa, and Marcellus doesn't understand why Jason would want to make an enemy out of him. He thinks that he should be targeting Lisa because she's weaker, so she's not going to be able to fight back. So then we get a separate conversation between Jason and Danielle where they talk about what to do if Amy wins the power of veto. Danielle says she's not willing to take any chances. She is
Mhm.
not willing to go up on the block. And so she wants the nominations to stay the same.
Yeah, and I'm with her on
And
that. I mean, there's no sense of putting the risk out there. Like, there's no reason.
yeah, absolutely. It's never a good idea to put your ally on the block
Mhm.
unless you're trying to get him out. So I definitely am with Danielle there as well. So this leads us into the power veto competition. And essentially, what we have here is they walk out into the backyard. There's all of these photos of the different evicted house guests kind of laid out in rows. And then there are some lasers that are shooting across the backyard. And so there's this kind of like obstacle course that they have to go through, and they have to travel through the course in, I believe, the order that each person was evicted.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so so they have to do that while avoiding the lasers. If they touch the lasers, there's like a 15-second
Time penalty.
penalty, and the winner is whoever gets through the course in the fastest time.
Yep.
So I thought that there was a couple of interesting choices during this competition. The
Okay.
first one, well, so the first one was how openly Lisa was throwing the competition. Like, I get that they were doing it individually, so it's not like anybody was watching. It just felt a little bit like, like it was going to be super obvious that she had thrown it there. And like she's still eligible to go up on the block. So I don't know why
Mm.
the need to protect Marcellus.
Mm. That's
Uh,
a good. Mm. So I guess maybe I don't know what I was doing because I didn't see her throwing the competition.
yeah, she actively said at the beginning, like, I'm throwing this competition, and she just does the competition in a way where she's not trying at all to avoid those lasers.
Wow.
She's kind of just going through the course, you know, as she's supposed to, but like hitting those lasers at every turn. And yeah, to me, it was just very, very transparent there.
Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, at this point of the game, like, you really should not be throwing any competitions. Like, you really should not. Like, you want destiny in your hand at this point for damn sure. Especially Lisa. I'm just like, 'cause who are you really working with?
Right.
Like, who are who is on your side? Like, oh my goodness. Well, anyway, sorry. But wow, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a very, uh, just to me, a very obvious display. And again, I realized that they were doing it individually. It's just kind of, nowadays when they have a competition and you have someone that like times out or has this really
Mhm.
ridiculous time, like they're clocking it immediately. And so
Mhm.
I just don't know why she would take the risk again for someone such as Marcellus, when it's like if he goes off the block, then it's gonna be you. So the second thing was, so I thought Amy did really well in this competition. Like she definitely
Okay.
understood how to be flexible. Like she is very flexible and was doing it, in a very good way where she's like on the ground and like really really trying to do that. So then we get Danielle having her turn, and that she's going for it, and she's doing a similar thing where it's like she's standing up. She's like she was just doing it in a way where I was like, why are you not being more methodical about this? So
Mhm.
that also was kind of a bit of a head scratcher.
Do you think she was trying to throw it as well?
No,
Okay, 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 okay,
no, no,
okay.
no, no, no. Yeah, no, it was just wild. But it ultimately doesn't matter for either of them because Marcellus wins the power of veto, which is, you know, good for
Yay.
him. He's very happy about it until he realizes, oh, wait a minute, like I have the choice between saving myself or saving Amy, and so like, oh no, it's a big dilemma here. Whatever am I gonna do?
I have no
Yeah.
comment. No comment.
Okay.
Like that. Done.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we get Danielle in the DR though, and she's very disappointed, and she's like, I need to do everything in my power to make sure that Marcellus does not use this veto.
When
And
she said that, I said, if she can do it, she is a powerful person to convince somebody to not save themselves. Like,
yep,
I was like, if she pulls this off, I was like, she is, whoo, she's a good one. She's a good one. Mm.
yeah, no, I agree for sure because you should always use the veto on yourself.
Always.
Always.
Woo-wee.
Oh my god.
And then this is the first time that you've seen this where you can use it on yourself.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't you? Like what is there to contemplate? You're on the what? Mm. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Okay.
No, but I agree with you. It's just it's the thing you do. And so, but um we get a conversation after this between Danielle and Marcellus, where Danielle is trying to get a sense of what it is that he is going to do, who he would evict between Amy and Lisa. And I don't remember if he gives her a straight answer, but
No, let's
I
go, Lisa.
I I do know that in the diary room he says, I could teach the house guests about friendship and evict Amy, or I could teach them about self-love and evict myself. And to this, I was like, what the fuck? What does that mean?
What does it mean? I don't know. I feel like I don't know. He is so again another one of those things that I jotted down from the dinner table. He is
Yeah.
so fucking like just dramatic
Yeah.
that it is for the. I don't understand him. I feel like he wants the 15 minutes of fame, but at the same time, he's living like you stated in a delusional world, and I don't understand him. I don't get him.
Yeah. I think, you know, he's a very entertaining
Is he?
character. Well,
Sorry.
I mean,
Sorry.
I feel like what he's going for, you know, I feel like what he's going for is like this is kind of a soap opera, and he's the I don't know, like because he makes everything so dramatic. It's like, you know, does he 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 knows what the audience kind of wants. You know, I think some of the audience does want
Does
this,
want it. Okay.
you know, but and but I don't even necessarily, you know, this is definitely the way he thinks. I think it's just like half kind of playing it up for the cameras, half actual delusion. And
I agree with you. I
yeah,
100% agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
you know, I'm trying to give him a fair shake, but he's not given given me much reason to do that. So then we get a conversation between Marcellas and Lisa where he tells her that he thinks that Jason and Danielle are working together, and he thinks it's time to turn the tables on them. To which I respond with, how? You're on the block. Lisa is gonna be on the block if you're not on the block. Like, too little, too late, buddy. But
It really is. Like the only way to have been to get around that, especially at this point,
mm-hmm,
you would have had to have a conversation with Jason
mm-hmm,
to put doubt in his mind about Danielle.
yeah,
Like that's the only way you would have been able to kind of get around this, to pull yourself off the block, to even remotely have a shot of Danielle going on the block. That's like at this point. Like so
right.
I'm with you. I have no idea what's going through his mind. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, and I do think that Lisa and Marcellus have kind of built this relationship up over the past few weeks, but I honestly I feel like that would have been the bigger play, even though he's kind of screwed there too, because it's not like Lisa's like been winning anything here, so you know it's a tough road, but he kind of yeah, he just kind of became one of Daniel's underlings, and that's kind of just where he's stayed, and you know, so it's hard to see the moment that things started to go wrong for him, but it feels like his number is coming up. So Danielle has another conversation with Marcellus and basically says that Jason isn't going to cut you. He's going to cut Amy. Amy's going to go. We all want Amy to go. And I think that this is really the main kind of crux of the arguments that she makes this week, is just like this is the plan, and feeding into his delusion that people are so sick of Amy that it's her time. You know, I don't know. It doesn't. It just it is good work by Danielle, but it really doesn't feel throughout this week that she has to do all too much to get him to make the choice that he ultimately makes.
Mm-hmm.
But We cut to the studio, and we get our beloved Julie Chen checking in on the house guests. And so she starts with Marcellus and asks him how difficult his decision to either use the veto or not use the veto was. And Marcellus says it was probably the most difficult decision I've had to make. This is the hardest moment ever. And then we get Jason, who is asked by Julie if Marcellus does choose to use it, are you prepared to name your replacement nominee? And Jason says that he is prepared. I don't want to do it, but it's the job of the head of household, and I'm ready to go for it. And then we end with Amy, who Julie asks, this is your 5th time sitting in one of those
I forgot.
Right? Five times.
Mm-hmm.
Five times, and she was gone for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is actually crazy. Like she's been on the block 5 times, but there was still like 2 or 3 weeks that she was not there, and she's still been on the block that much. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So she basically asks her, like, is there anything that you have to say to Marcellus to help make his decision for him? I didn't write down what she said because it wasn't very
just
very appealing. So then we get we get Marcellus's speech. Julie's like, all right, Marcellus, it's your time. Like, make the decision here. And so then Marcellus gets up in front of everybody. He says, I played this game looking out for people, and I tried to look out for all of you the best that I could. Jerry used the veto once for me, and it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me within this game. My sisters, my brothers, my mama, they're sitting at home and they're like, use the veto, fool. And then he takes this big dramatic pause as he's like fighting something in him. And then he says, I'm not going to use it. I don't want you to have to decide between them. I don't want you guys to go through the moment that I went through this week. And everybody's jaw is on the floor.
So fucking stupid. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, how can you be so stupid? Like, just, I'm sorry. Just stupid. Just pure ignorance.
Yeah. Ignorance. It is, and it's like, so the only justification I could make for this choice is everybody knows how tight he is with Amy. Everybody knows how he talks about loyalty all the time. That if he used the veto on himself, basically had a get out of jail free card, and allowed Amy to walk out the door, that maybe that would not look favorably on him. Even then, it's like, you do what you got to do, and then you ask for forgiveness later. Like, if you don't even get to the final 2, you can't atone for anything in the game. So just use the veto, fool.
Like, I really think he wanted his dramatic moment.
Yeah.
I even wrote down in regards to the speech, I was just like, why is this dragging out so long? This is unnecessary. We've already discovered that we're live. Like, why are we doing this in this moment? Like, it's unnecessary, 100% unnecessary. Are you or are you not? But I think he wanted his moment and probably wanted to go down in history as somebody of not using this. Like, I don't understand the reason. I don't even agree with the reason for wanting to save Amy. Like, I legitimately do not see any good reason in this particular this week for him specifically, I don't see any good reason to not have used that veto. I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't personally.
No,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you there. You always use the veto, like especially the the fact that they changed the veto, right? That they changed it and were like, "Hey, here's this new twist where you can use the veto to save yourself." That should give you enough insight to be like, "Hey, this is probably something that I should use on myself." And but I mean, it makes for a pretty good moment here. It makes for a pretty good moment coming up that we will talk about. But first, we cut to a commercial break. But before that, we get a couple of people in the diary room kind of talking about their end game strategy for winning the game. So, first up, we get Amy, who says, "If I'm still here to compete in the HOH competition, I pretty much have to win it to secure my place into the next week." Cool. Lisa says, "If I'm still here, the next head of household competition is going to be very cutthroat. Whoever wins this week's head of household competition can also, for the first time, play the following week. If I'm meant to have HOH this week, then you know I'll get HOH this week. And if not, I'm going to be holding on for dear life." Then we end with Jason, who says, "This week, as outgoing head of household, I'm in kind of a tough spot because I'm not eligible to win head of household. I'm counting on Danielle big time this week to win the HOH competition. Danielle has not won HOH yet in this game, and that makes me a little bit nervous."
Hmm?
So, any thoughts there on any of
No,
these?
no, 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 no. Because I'm like, because at this point, it's he's chosen
So,
to not use the power of veto, and for me, at this point, it just kind of sealed his fate. It also tells me that Jason and or that a Danielle is damn good to have convinced him not to use it, which tells me between Jason and Danielle, it's a shoe in at this point
right.
in regards to being in the final two. Like it's a shoe in. Like it doesn't matter whatever happens in the household. The other ones have no willpower or thinking ability to try to get Danielle and or Jason out. So it's a shoe in.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's at this point, it's more about the numbers, and if the numbers aren't on your side, then that is going to spell trouble for you. If
Yes.
you don't have the relationships
Mm-hmm.
by this point, it's going to be very hard to make new friends in this upcoming week and the next week after that. So yeah, there's really not much any of them can do. Things are kind of where they're at. So we cut to commercial and we come back to a hometown interview with I believe this one was about Lisa.
Yeah.
I didn't write anything down about it,
I
so
did not. I just said it was her family segment and I left it at that. That was it.
all right.
Yeah, because I didn't care. I did not care. In fact, I think I walked into the kitchen to get something to eat. I was like, I don't give a damn about Lisa. Okay, she's not done anything for me. So yeah,
All right. Well, we will then skip the hometown interview and
awesome.
we get another commercial break after that. So we do get some insight from Marcellas and Danielle. So Marcellus, it doesn't matter what he said, but Danielle says the only person I don't want to get it is Marcellus if he's still here. Marcellus always stated that his game is about trust. I trust Marcellus just a wee bit, but I don't trust him that much to make myself feel comfortable. Jason is my boy. he cannot compete for this HOH. So it's very important that I win it, and I want it. I want it.
If it was ever a time for her to win one, this is it. This is it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. This is the only way that she can stay in the game here. So, yeah, I'm hoping she gets it.
We're rooting for you, Danielle.
But we're not there yet because but first. So we cut to commercial, and when we come back, we get Jason's. Well, first, okay, so we get the actual vote here, and
so now before the vote, Julie had a conversation with Marcellas. About his decision to not use the power of veto.
Okay. I did not write that down, so refresh my memory.
Not a problem. Real quick then. So so Julie specifically asked him, like, cause she kind of what you and I were just talking about, that he had this toggle, and she made the statement, "Hey, Marcellas, were you thinking or contemplating not using the power of veto?" And so right here on live television was her statement. And so of course his dramatic self was just like, yeah, I was up until this very moment. I didn't know what I was going to do and all this other stuff. And so, but the reason why I want to come back to this is because her next question to him was, are you confident that you are going to be the one to stay in the house? And his response was no. And I'm like, for you to go through all of that, to still say you're not confident, and you still did not use the power of veto, you have got to be one of the dumbest mother people on the face of this planet. And I was like, I legitimately wrote down, I was like, I do not like him. I was like, at this point, I really feel like it is not about the game. Like he is legitimately probably looking for stardom, or he's looking for something else that just has nothing to do with this game whatsoever. Like for me, things started to click a little bit differently. And so that's the only reason why I wanted to go back to actually say that. So I was just like, all of his dramatic stuff, all of it started to fester up for me at that point. And I was just like, I do not like him. I do not like him. He's not here for Big Brother. He's not here for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like we've and that's kind of why I go back to, like, he's playing a character. It's a character that is 100% who he is, but like he's here to make TV. He's here to, like, get on The Bold and the Beautiful, and yeah.
General Hospital. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So it is frustrating to get those types of players in this game, because it's taking a spot from somebody else. I don't know what kind of a fan base Big Brother had with going into Big Brother 3, but this is something that certainly now would be very much criticized.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But didn't mean to interrupt. But you're right. The live votes.
You're good. You're good. It's a fair point to make. It's kind of one of the last impressions that we get from Marcellas, as we get a tied vote here. So, this is an interesting kind of spot to be in, I think, for Jason and Danielle, because it's like, okay, he hasn't used the veto, so it's like, are you gonna pull the trigger here? Are you gonna
So wait a second, was this the first live vote?
No, because the one with Jerry, when Jerry evicted Eric.
No. I mean, so when it was a tied vote, that was the head of household had to do the live vote. No. But I'm saying, from Danielle and Lisa, like, this is the first time we've seen them do that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yes. Yeah. Which I thought, I'm here for it. I love to see that. I love to hear. I love for it to be live. And so you can get it real time. It is what it is. But I love that. So again, I was just double checking. I was making sure.
Yeah, and yeah, first live vote of the season, and yeah, so like I said, it's an interesting spot because it's like, okay, this is what you wanted to happen. Now it's like, are you gonna
Do
make
it.
it happen? And they do it.
They
They make
did.
it happen. We get a tied vote here. Lisa votes to keep Marcellus in the game. Danielle votes to evict Marcellus, and so we get a tied vote here that is up to Jason, our head of household, our good Christian boy, has to look Marcellus in the face and say, "Guys, I am absolutely shocked to be in this spot, in this situation, and I've given it thought that if it did happen, what I would do, and it's just purely game, because this is a game, there can only be one winner. And after nominating you, Marcellus, the other day, I was just in a mode where I felt threatened. And then when we talked again that next morning, you kind of scared me in the game because I didn't know what I might be looking at. So, as harsh and as terrible as it is, you should have used the veto instead, but I vote to evict you, Marcellus."
That was so funny. That
It
was so funny.
it was so it's such a good moment, and it's
Yeah.
so good that it comes from Jason.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
because I've been saying throughout the season, like there are things where Jason could have come in as the typical, like, I'm going to keep to my values and I'm going to play a certain way, and to a certain extent that was
he
certainly
kept.
him,
Mhm.
but he teetered back and forth. And so I think that this is just kind of the icing on the cake for me, where it's like I respect it. It's really fun to see.
I definitely respect it, and to see Marcellus, because he was pissed.
Yep.
Oh, he was shocked. He was angry, and I think that was back to the delusion that we were just
Yep.
speaking of. I really think he thought he was safe. Like I
Yep.
know he lied and said no to Julie,
Yep.
but I really think in his mind he thought he was safe because he's just like he was ready to like flip tables is what I saw in his eyes. Like he was frustrated. He was pissed. Like I didn't even think he was going to hug Jason.
Yep.
So, but yeah, but he was pissed.
He didn't even pack his bags.
Yes. So again, the delusion. Danielle, that damn Danielle. Mm, yeah.
It, yeah, it was absolutely nuts. He has to just like get up and start like going through the house and getting stuff out of drawers, whatever it is that he can find. I don't even know if he got it all, and
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, and they usually pack the bags the next day anyway if there's anything that's been forgotten. But it was just, yeah, one of the great moments of the show of all time for me. Certainly of this season. It's mind blowing that any of it happened. So
It was fun to watch.
yeah. So we get Marcellus going out of the house, and he goes to talk with Julie, and Julie asks him, like, "Are you shocked to be sitting there?" I believe he said, like, "No,
Well,
not
first she hit him.
okay."
And like first she hit him. Like
How could I forget that part? It's
so
like, so, yeah,
Winston watched this part with me too, and so I was just like, that would not happen nowadays because I'm pretty sure they would try to sue.
yeah,
But but I was like, first she hit him because I'm like, come on, like damn well you should have used that power veto on yourself, like
yeah.
you should have. And so I'm glad she hit him. I just want to point that out. I'm just so glad. Thank you, Julie. He needed it.
Julie would never get that close to the house guests. Like she's sitting on a couch there with them. Like no, she goes in line with the social distancing guidelines. She's like 6 feet at all time. I think there are
The,
times she doesn't even want to give a hug.
some like it like especially during COVID, like that was a whole 6 feet, like that was a
Yeah,
whole thing. I will never forget that. However, I will say, out of all of my time watching, the closest
yeah,
I ever saw her with anybody was probably Matt. And I remember a couple of interviews even after that season, but she really was rooting for, like, she legitimately loved Matt, and so it gave you a sense of, oh, Julie. And so, and again, so it's just, for me it was fun to kind of, it's fun to see this. So anyway, I'm sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, you're good. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a great moment. It shows Julie really kind of invested in what's going on in the game. Certainly, she is echoing the sentiments of everybody at home. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what were you thinking, Marcellus? And yeah, so he says he's not really shocked to be sitting there. He talks about how selfless he is, and it's just a lot of,
Bullshit.
yeah, patting himself on the back for
Mhm.
the type of game that he played. And it's that thing you were saying before of like, why did you sign up, guy? Like,
But
why are
Julie
you
asked him.
here? Mhm.
Julie
Oh
asked
yeah,
him point right, because
yeah.
his statement was, "I did not play to win," and so she's like, "Well, why the hell? Like, why are you playing?
Why are you here? Yeah.
Like, why did you sign up?" And I was just like, "Thank you. Like, damn it, I love this Julie.
Right, and
I love this Julie."
right, and then he gives some answer about like, "Oh, I needed to figure out some stuff about myself," and
Yes.
and don't go on reality TV for
For
that,
that,
like,
like, get a counselor. Okay, get a therapy
yes,
dog. You know, like, come on,
right.
come on. Just it's yeah, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So this is it was a bunch of mess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that is the last of Marcellus that we will
One more
see. Oh,
thing.
okay.
I'm sorry. I know.
No, you're
Sorry.
good.
So because I so dislike him that all of this stuff was coming out. But I would like to point out that he said that he was rooting for Lisa.
That's right, he did say that, yep.
So I was like, Julie was shocked. Hell, even I was shocked because I'm like, for I would have assumed it would have been Danielle, because we know it wouldn't have been Amy, but I would have assumed it would have been Danielle. But I was shocked to hear Lisa. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I mean, she did just, like, stab him in the back, though, in a major way.
I mean, that is true. That's true.
And they've
That's
had
true.
this kind of a little bit of a contentious relationship where he's been kind of untrusting with her. That, well, for me at least, I wanted him to say he was rooting for Danielle, but I was not surprised.
To
I
hear
was
Lisa.
not surprised that he was rooting a little bit more for Lisa in that current moment.
Fair.
So we say goodbye to Marcellus until finale night, and then we get our HOH competition, which is called And Then There Were Four. And so the house guests have to answer questions about themselves. They have to step on the number in front of them that answers the question. First to answer the most questions correctly out of six wins. So we kind of go through. First question: how many of the four remaining house guests has been HOH at least once? The answer is three. How many of the four remaining house guests have held the power of veto? Four. How many of the four remaining house guests failed to stuff at least 15 food vouchers in his or her swimsuit during the whirlwind booth competition? Three. How many of the four remaining house guests had a gnome that survived the gnome drop competition? One. And at this point, Amy and Lisa are tied at 2 points. Danielle is in the lead with three. And then we get the fifth question: how many of the four remaining house guests opened a veto box at the end of the first veto competition? Two. And then the last question: how many of the four remaining house guests gained more than 3 pounds during the brownie house food competition.
The most unsanitized, but I'm sorry.
Right. I did not write down the answer, but it doesn't matter because Danielle finally wins an HOH competition.
Way to go,
And
Danielle.
this was the time to do it, and she did it. And so we are going to have a really interesting week, I think, coming up here. I think what we're at final 4 now.
Final 4. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, it's
So,
obvious. It's obvious going to be Lisa and Amy
right.
going on the block, obviously.
Yeah.
And if they don't understand that, then they're stupid.
Yeah.
So,
But glad that Danielle at least has some safety here. So that is week 9 of Big Brother 3. What are your final thoughts of this week? What are you looking forward to?
So, final thoughts. I'm glad that Marcellas is gone. And so that, again, only because of how this week has kind of played out. And so again, same thing I said in the beginning. I really enjoyed this 1 week in a 2 hour episode. Like it had me engaged. I was just enjoyed it. I could have done without some of the segments that they did, especially for the family segment. Like it was just weird. I really loved the live vote. With the live eviction, the even with the live veto. Like I loved seeing that. So that was really, really awesome. Now going forward though, again, I don't know how exciting it's about to be. Because for me it's between Jason and Danielle. And right now I don't see Jason winning. At this point, I do not see him winning because Danielle she's been too, like, she's legitimately has been a mastermind behind all of this. And you just kind of pull Jason along. And it just so happens that Jason is a good person. And so he is loving all of these people. So he is likable. And so it makes your job a little bit easier for you both to kind of connive and be behind the scenes to plot against the rest of the house. But at the end of the day, she's the mastermind behind all of this. Damn sure in comparison to who's left in the house.
Right.
And so, I'm what I'm interested to see now is what Big Brother's going to do for next week to try to keep the audience attention.
Yeah, I agree. I am trying to remember. I know that the final 4 in the first few seasons is a little bit different. Like I don't necessarily remember if they have the final 4 like Veto and the one person making the decision. I feel like it works similar to how it works nowadays. I think there's just a little bit of variation on it, but essentially, yeah, her decisions should be pretty easy this week, and so it will be interesting to see what decision she ultimately ends up making. I think this was a really great week for Danielle and Jason here. I think purely in terms of game strategy and the way that I like to see the game played, that this was a really kind of ballsy move that I'm really impressed they were able to pull off there. So I definitely am looking forward to this final stretch here as we get to the end of Big Brother 3. Not too much left to go, so it's going to be interesting to see kind of the end game here. So I think that is basically what we have for you all this week, and let's plug our stuff. Want to start us off?
Alrighty then. So if you like to stay inspired with positivity, by all means follow me at inspired by Jimmy and the letter L.com. You can find all social media platforms right there.
All right, perfect. You can find me on primarily Blue Sky at noamistay.bsky.social. And you can follow the Jury House podcast on Blue Sky as well at thejuryhouse.bsky.social, on Instagram at the Jury House Podcast. And right now we do have a Twitter at house_jury. And so if you want to find us there, that's certainly an option. And that is basically what we have for you this week. And until next time, when we invite another person into the Big Brother 3 Jury House, we will see you then. Later.
See you guys.